Well, welcome in, everybody, and happy Tuesday. It is March 12th, 2024, and we have a lot to talk about as South Carolina held their annual pro day earlier today. He's Intern Joe. I'm Mike Yu. Appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been a busy week in the world of Gamecock athletics. Busy, obviously, from a basketball standpoint, what took place over the last, 72 hours, going back to the weekend, and what women's basketball was able to accomplish, winning their 8th SEC tournament title in the last 10 years. Men's basketball, they're going to be heading out to Nashville in a couple of hours. Gamecock Central, we're heading to Nashville tomorrow. But today, as we always do on Talking Tuesday, keeping it football. And when you look at the players that took part in Pro Day, you had 5 guys who participated at the NFL Combine out in Indy a couple weeks ago, headlined by Xavier Legette, Spencer Rattler. They were there today. They didn't really do as much testing as far as running is concerned, and testing in general, which isn't uncommon because why are you going to do it all over again, right? What they did do, though, is they participated in the positional drills. So we will have our thoughts on that.
Yeah.
We'll hear from some of the players as well. I had a chance to catch up with a few of them. We also have some tidbits for you. The official numbers, I just want to make sure nothing's changed since we started the show because all it takes is one email to be blasted out. The official numbers of the results from Pro Day have not been released yet from South Carolina. When we have that, though, we will have that up immediately on GC, as we always do each year. But we do have some information as far as some guys are concerned. I had a chance to talk with several of the players, had a chance to talk with some agents, had a chance to talk with some scouts, had a chance to talk with some trainers, so we were able to gather some information. The biggest thing to me today, Joe, that stood out to me is that Maran Brown showed out. He put on an absolute clinic from everything that we've been able to gather. He ran, according to one scout, unofficially, a 4.30. 4.30. I was next to his agent, Sarah, and she was kind of smiling, saying, man, we were really looking for that 4.29, but we'll take a 4.3. Ran a 4.3, and then he told me that he put up 225 on the bench press 15 times. And I said, were you happy with that number? He's like, hell yeah. He's like, that's as good as it gets for me. That's as good as it gets. So that's where I start, Joe, because when you look at the players, who weren't invited to the Combine, we talked about Jordan Strawn. We talked about AB. I'm going to have to go wait and see if I really didn't see Strawn out there. If he was out there, we didn't see him as much. It's difficult to see some of the guys out there, though, because of the number of scouts and NFL teams there with coaches. But to me, AB, out of all the guys, I felt like he had the best chance and has the best chance even more now after the performance he had today to be drafted. And if it's not drafted, I think he has a tremendous opportunity to get signed. So I think with AB, I mean, man, this was a guy, a lot of attention was on going into today from a outside of those 5 that were invited to Indy. You talked about it last week, Joe. You wanted to see what AB was going to do. Boy, AB showed out today.
Yeah, absolutely. My guy we talked about last week with having a lot of potential, coming into Pro Day and, a lot of speed on the outside AB has and, running a 4.3 is pretty ridiculous. And the fact that they were shooting for a 4.29 is crazy stuff. I mean, we knew he had elite speed, playing in the SEC, what he's been able to accomplish in South Carolina already. But again, that's NFL fast right there, Mike. So shout out to AB, happy for him. Glad he's able to, perform and he's going to end up with an NFL contract one way or another, right? That's elite level. And he's going to end up at a camp. So, and we know how hard of a worker he is too. I think that's one thing that kind of flies under the radar with AB. And at South Carolina, he's always been a hard worker. And it's always something that needs to get thrown in there with AB as well. But also impressed with a lot of other guys. Mike, I know we talked a little bit about we haven't talked on the show, but a little bit off camera about Dante Turbo Miller, a guy who skipped, it was out last year because the NCAA didn't grant him the extra year of eligibility, but was talked about a lot from what I gathered.
Yes, Dante Turbo Mill put on a show today. Put on a show. We're waiting for the official numbers. Again, if you're just joining us, appreciate everyone that tuned in. The tunes in every Tuesday. Another big show right now. We've been having some massive shows over the last couple of days on Gamecock Central.
Yeah.
Watching on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. We appreciate you. Share this. Let other people know. We had a massive show this past weekend for the women's basketball game. We'll be doing post-game shows throughout the entire tournament for both men and women. We will also be doing post-game shows for the men in Nashville this week. But as far as AB is concerned, the thing that stood out to me was he, from just the physique standpoint, you can tell, and just like all these guys,
Yeah.
this is what they've just been investing in the last couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of joking around. I said, off camera, I said, you kind of feel like you were preparing for like a beauty pageant in a sense, right? Like some of those women that prepare for those shows, those events, they're really not eating the junk food or whatever. They're giving up so much. Never mind the training that goes into it. So obviously, not an apples to apples comparison, but you get what I'm trying to get at, which is you have to put yourself through some vigorous times in order to be ready for your moment. And your moment was today. And for AB, I felt like he captured it in every shape, way, and form. We will hopefully have those numbers out a little bit later, just waiting on South Carolina to put them officially out. We've had some numbers, again, according to one scout and from talking to multiple people in his circle, 4.30 is what he was told as far as his 40 is concerned. As far as what AB had to say afterwards, we had a chance to catch up with him. Our own Gamecock Central, Wes Mitchell, had a chance to catch up with him. We were hopping around trying to get as many interviews as possible and trying to pull it up for you. And this is what AB had to say about the day, who, again, he seemed very pleased with what he was able to accomplish today. So let's take a listen to what AB had to say. Try to pull this up. All right. Maran Brown, take it away.
What did you want to prove to the scouts that are watching today, man?
Run vertical, but I can also do things side to side. Want to show off my ball tracking ability, getting it out of my breaks, just a bit of everything. Showing that I'm polished at everything besides just speed.
How do you feel like that went? Do you feel like you kind of accomplished your goals for the day?
Yeah, I got some good feedback. I think it was a pretty solid day. I wanted to run faster, but that's just me.
Yeah. Do you know what you ran? Did they tell you any of your times?
I had a few 4.2s, 4.3s, kind of 4.30 area around that time. I wanted to run a little faster, but it's all right.
What did you want to run? What's the fastest you have run before?
4.24.
Okay.
I wanted to get around that area.
Okay.
It's all right.
Yeah. What you mentioned, you got some pretty good feedback.
Mm-hmm.
What was kind of the feedback you got just talking to teams and just letting them get to know you a little bit more as a person?
They got to see what else I can do besides running vertical. So they just told me just keep going. I was kind of down about my 40 time, but they just said I'm having a solid day. Just keep going. Don't even worry about it. Just keep showing what you can do.
What was the comfort level having Spencer out here and just him knowing you guys knowing him as opposed to just a random quarterback or something? Was it cool for you guys to be able to go through this process together?
Yeah, that was cool. I played with him 2 years. He knows me. I know him. I know how the ball comes off his hand. So that was kind of good. Having a quarterback I'm comfortable with, and I think we put on the show today.
What is maybe the next step for you? Do you kind of have a plan as far as what you're doing the next couple of weeks, couple of months heading into the draft?
Y'all continue to train. Should be getting some calls from some teams. So just being available, whenever they want me, and just trying to stay in shape. It's not over now. Just at the beginning. So trying to stay in shape so I'm able to do what I can do whenever I get that call.
Where are you training at?
I should be going back home in Tampa.
Okay.
Staying in shape down there, and hopefully we get some good news.
Yeah, and are there some teams in particular you've talked to, maybe more than others so far?
Well, in January I talked to about 7 teams. Browns, Bears. I talked to Cardinals, Falcons. Talked to a few teams. I've been getting some good feedback. Stuff I like to hear.
Awesome. And final thing, man, what what's kind of your biggest takeaway just from your time at South Carolina? What was maybe your favorite part about your time here?
Just getting all the love from the fans, from the staff. I think the staff that we had was amazing. They loved us. I never needed for anything. They made sure I was okay. Just that love, you don't get that at a lot of places. I went to another college before, and I just loved it here. Just overall atmosphere. Will it be jumping every Saturday? So
yeah,
it was great. I enjoyed my time here.
Yeah, I thought of one more thing. So you played in two kind of NFL style schemes, right. Playing receiver. Not every college kind of provides that. Do you think that helps you kind of making that leap into the NFL? Maybe you kind of know the concepts a little bit better.
Oh yeah, for sure. This offense that we did this year, also pro style. Also last year, Coach Sat was a pro style. I think I got a lot of good film on the things that they do in the league, and I think that'll help me along the way.
All right, Maran Brown. Again, not happy with his 40. You want to run a little bit fast.
That's crazy, Mike. I mean, running a 4.3, that's pretty darn fast, and it's 1/10 of a second. But it's crazy, man. It's what will make you millions of dollars, 1/10 of a second.
And the bench press was impressive. I think, look, when we look at some of the things that they continue to still do at the NFL Combine and Pro Days, some of it's outdated, in my opinion, some of these events. Now, like the 40, for example. The 40 itself, how many times in a game do we see a guy run in a straight line 40 yards? You only really see it on special teams. And even then, I mean, you're dodging, you're trying to go around players. And that's the reason why the 40 is even a thing. You go back to the days of Paul Brown, and he wanted to figure out, okay, which guys are the best guys to be on the punt team as gunners. And that's how he would figure it out. And you'd want to be able to run somewhere, in that 4.4, 4.5, 4.6 range and lower. And obviously, as time's gone on, players have run faster 40s. We're seeing 4.3s, 4.2s for crying out loud. But that was kind of the philosophy behind that, trying to figure out, okay, hey, these are the best guys to put on that. But from a bench press standpoint, for example, Spencer Rattler, do we really care how many times he puts up? I don't even know if he tested the bench at all between today and going back to the combine. No. For some of these guys, it doesn't necessarily matter, some of these things. But, it's a good talking point. Bench press for a receiver, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. However, when you put up some big numbers, it's going to grab your attention. I know it's probably like I'm sounding like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. I'm like, well, I really don't care. But I think the thing is, it's like Xavier Legette, for example. We'll get into how he looked today. I talked with him, and he told me that he put up 225 pounds 24 times. I mean,
it's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
AB, 15. So I think where I'm trying to go with this is, if you can catch the football, you can run, specifically talking about the wide receiver position, and you can do those things, you're a good stock blocker, regardless of how much you bench. Those are the things they're going to look at first and foremost. Having said that, if you can go out there, especially for a guy like AB, there's probably some teams, there's probably some scouts that'll look at him. And again, we don't have the official measurements yet, but you look at a guy like Maran Brown and you wonder, okay, he's not the biggest guy in the world. According to South Carolina's roster from this past year, and I'm sure AB put some weight on just by looking at him. But 5'9", 167. Let's say he put on another 10 pounds of muscle since the season ended. All right, let's even be generous. Let's say 180. 5'9", 180, if he was able to put some extra weight on. Point being is there's going to be teams that want to say, okay, can he play at this level? Can he handle going up against NFL size? Putting up 15 for his size, that's damn good. That's damn good. So I say that because there's going to be different events that you're going to go through during the combine, during the pro day, where if you don't test well, it's not the end of the world, depending on what your position is, but it can never hurt. And for AB today, certainly for Xavier Legette as well, and others, but we'll get the official numbers later on. They only helped themselves today. And I thought AB, the way he ran routes, he looked crisp. He caught, everything that I saw, he caught everything. I mean, it certainly helps at Pro Day that you have your quarterback. No disrespect to our guy, Perry Orth. Perry wasn't out there, but you have your quarterback who's been throwing to you for the last 2 years. So the timing was there. You could tell players looked comfortable. Certainly Spencer looked comfortable, but specifically AB, I think this is a guy who is going to be a steal. If he's not drafted late, he'll certainly be a player that teams will bring in. From talking with his agent, it seems like there is interest from the CFL already. They would love for him to stay in the States, but that's good to know that there's already interest from a professional team. And if he's able to ball out, stay in the States, play in the NFL, which is his ultimate goal, that's great. But at least he has some type of backup plan, it sounds like, in place.
Yeah, Mike, it's all about getting to that second contract, right? When you talk about these guys going to the NFL, it's, they make their first, impression with whoever signs them first. And then if you can, ride that deal out and make it to that second contract, you're in the league then, right? You're going to bounce around and stuff like that. But it is also nice to have the CFL as an option too. Guys will go back and forth from the CFL, NFL from time to time. So AB's got speed, man, at the end of the day. And, we'll get his numbers here too soon, like you said. But I mean, 4.3 is that's elite level speed right there. So, I've got high expectations for AB where he ends up and stuff like that. But really, really good showing at Pro Day. And, you're happy for the kid, right, Mike?
Yep. And I'll say this too. I'm talking to his agent, Sierra. AB got introduced through South Carolina players. They got recommended to the agency. Hopefully, I have that worded correctly. But she also represents Carlins Patel. So there's your Carlins Patel mention for the show, as we do every week. We get joked about.
Our guy.
We say that.
We love
no, I thought AB looked good, and I really think too, when you look at the way the game is in the NFL. I mean, yes, we like to talk about the deep passes, but the short stuff, right? And I know Gamecock fans get frustrated by it a little bit from time to time, whether it be the screen passes, quick outs, slants, whatever the case may be. It is such an important part of the NFL. I mean, we saw that obviously this past season in the way that Dow Loggins tried his best despite the injuries that were happening on the offensive line, and not just the offensive line, but across the board. And you try to get creative. So I think more than anything, being able to have that speed, and he showed that today. And the other thing too, that should not be overlooked, Joe, that I feel like does, I think back to 2014. So I've been covering in some shape, way, or form the NFL Combine, drafts, pro days. I've been doing it since 2014. I think back to a comment a scout said that year. And I was talking to him. This was out in Indy. And he said, one thing that we pay attention to, or at least he paid attention to, is how players performed at their pro day, at the Combine, when they would get up there and all eyes are on them, right? You're running the 40. You're running the L drill. You're bench pressing. Whatever it is, you're doing your vertical jump. Now, today, ESPN was down there. SEC Network saw Peter Burns, spoke with him for a moment. He was catching up with Xavier Legette and Spencer Rattler. But there really wasn't like a TV presence there today in comparison to the Combine. But still, when you're out there and you're running your 40, you're running whatever drill it is, all eyes are on you. So these players are used to playing in front of big crowds. They're used to playing in front of the 80,000 at Williams-Brice Stadium, or going on the road in Tennessee and having to play in front of over 100,000. They're used to that. But what happens now when you're trying to play at the next level and you're testing, how do you respond? So I think it's one of those things where we've seen like Xavier Legette at the Combine a couple weeks ago. His first 40 didn't have the number that he wanted. And then what happens? Shake the cobwebs out. Nerves are out there. Dust them off and just go out there and perform.
Yep.
And then he goes out there and he runs in the 4.2s, for crying out loud. What was it, 4.29 that he ran?
Yeah.
So that's another part of it. It's being able to evaluate how players respond when the pressure's on them.
Yeah, Mike, it's one of the hardest job interviews of all time, right? Preparing for the NFL draft and the NFL
Long
combine.
too. It's months.
Exactly.
It is
Yeah,
months.
that's what the longest and
Yep.
one of the hardest job
Hardest
interviews
and
of all
longest.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Legette had to meet with some teams after today.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And they're always evaluating, right? Their meetings everywhere at the combine, at pro day, like you mentioned, right? Everywhere. They're always meeting, working out with different teams, stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's the nature of it, right? And it's crazy because like you brought up Legette's time at the combine when he ran the second one. It's a lot of pressure, preparing for this too, because especially in a spot like Legette where you're probably going to get picked. I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to get picked some way, shape, or form. So now it's in terms of how high do you go, right? And that determines how much you get paid out of the gate. So there's a lot of pressure on these guys, and I can't imagine being in that situation because you are essentially testing for millions and millions of dollars, and then you have to go play, show that you're a good football player and a good person through meetings and countless interviews and workouts and stuff like that. So it's exhausting, and I'm sure the pressure's on, but it shows also too how well South Carolina tested today, and a little bit to the NFL experience on staff, right? Mike, you brought up with AB, playing in a pro style offense. I think that's big, but yeah, South Carolina certainly prepared them based on what we saw at Pro Day today.
No question about it. I do want to talk about Turbo Miller in a little bit because he did some great things. He did some phenomenal things today. I'm waiting for the official numbers, but I can't tell you how many times today people were coming up because we're off to the side. So to give you guys an idea of what it's like, they have it roped off from the field. You're on the side. You're inside the practice facility, the Spurrier Indoor Practice Facility, and you're off to the sideline. And it's kind of L shape as far as where they let the media kind of roam around. So I'm up at the rope. We're talking to scouts. We're talking to agents. We're talking to some of the players when they come up. And there were multiple people, staffers involved, coming up saying, "Hey, are you seeing what Turbo's doing?" And I was honest. I'm like, I can't really see too much right now because of certain angles. Because the if they're doing short shuttle, they're doing L drill, 3-cone drill, you're not able to see as much simply because all the scouts, they're kind of surrounding. It's kind of like being on the dance floor, if you will, and you're kind of making a circle for someone to kind of just bust a move. That's kind of what it's like. It's tough to be able to see outside. However, hearing what some of them had to say, I started to try to pay attention. I tried to get a good angle, and I started watching him, and he was running extremely well. Then we got into the positional portion of it, being able to do some drills, catching passes out of the backfield, and he looked sharp. I mean, this is a guy who didn't play football this past season, not because of an injury, but because the NCAA said, no, we're not going to grant you a waiver to be able to have an extra year of eligibility left. He could have easily just said, you know what, screw it, I'm done. I'm done. But that wasn't the case. He continued to work his tail off all fall, all winter, and he's been waiting for this moment today. Waiting for this moment for the last go back to June, I think was when they found out officially that they weren't going to approve his waiver. So, I mean, this has been a long time coming for Turbo. So it was great to see him go out there. Very excited to see what his numbers are going to be. Xavier Legette, speaking about wide receivers, Joe, we know how talented this guy is. I mentioned it before. Legette put up 225 pounds 24 times today. Had a chance to speak with him briefly before he took to the field for the field portion. Didn't test as far as running is concerned because there's really nothing more he needs to show. I mean, there's really no reason to go out there and risk getting hurt by doing like a 3-cone drill or short. You're good. So I talked with him, and when I say this was maybe, I mean, Legette's always been laid back, but he seemed as relaxed as could be. As relaxed as could be. And for a young man who has gone through so much in his life, Joe. But to know, because he's not dumb, to know that there's been more attention placed on you within the last couple weeks, within the last couple months, because of what you've been able to do out at the Reese's Senior Bowl, what you did at the NFL Combine, more attention. There were reporters traveling in from Charlotte today to cover it, and they brought it up. There was probably more Panther scouts there today than any other team. Now, obviously, from a geographical standpoint, yeah, that makes sense. But I've been covering the Combine here at South Carolina, a pro day, the last couple of years. It's not always like that. They're there because they really like Legette. Now, does that mean the Panthers will draft Legette? We'll have to wait and see. But having that many teams, I know they were also there to look at other players, but you could tell when Legette got up to the line during route running sessions, that portion of it, all eyes were on X. All eyes were on X. I mean, he certainly has a spotlight on him, and I think he's handling it extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I mean, one of those guys that, like I mentioned, is probably going to get drafted either way. And, being very smart about, that's part of the game too, with this whole, long job interview thing, about picking your spots where you work out and stuff. Didn't need to run, didn't need to test anything like that. And as I'm sure we'll get into a little bit, but he looked great. And from what I saw, running routes from Spencer and obviously catching passes from Spencer certainly helps.
Just looks like a freak. He looks like a freakish. I think Peter Burns from SEC Network, he tweeted this out a little while ago.
He's going to get drafted pretty highly. I think, his draft stock continues to climb.
He's going to be a late first round, early second round pick. Now, it comes down to what team is picking and what their needs are, because you get to pick 30 or pick 30, whatever the case may be. They might not necessarily have that same need at wide receiver, but at the same time too, Legette's a freak. He's a freak.
Crazy.
And as his coach reminded me today, I had a chance to talk with his high school coach. First time having a chance to meet with him. It's been his coach going all the way. He's known him since, I think it was 8. I think he's what he said.
Yeah.
Out in Mullins. As we all know, he's a phenomenal person. Mm-hmm. Great character. The type of person you want to bring into your franchise. The fact that he's a hell of a football player.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the perfect combination. But I saw that Travis mentioned a comparison, A.J. Brown, Debo.
Really good.
You brought up Debo because he's been hearing that a lot. And today we had a chance to talk with X, and he's got us caught up on what it's been like these last couple months for him.
All right. Zay, just tell us about this process, man. What do you feel like the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself, and how has this process been?
Oh, man, the biggest thing I feel like I learned with this process, man, is being patient, man. It's a long ride, man. I'm just trying to keep my calm and just ready for the day for my name to be called.
You talked about what did you want to show the scouts the most today?
That I could run every route in the route tree. I feel like we put that together here as well. I had a couple drops, but I was able to overcome those.
You talked about before the season being able to work out with Deebo Samuel. I mean, how much did you talk with him or some of the former Gamecocks to be able to help you through these last couple months?
Oh, man. Me working out with him, man, I say, man, it kind of changed my mindset in a way, man. I'm just getting more focused, man. And like a lot of people, they be trying to compare me to him. Even when I'm in the meetings with the coaches from different teams, they also try to compare me to him, man. But I want to make a name for myself.
What was it like to be in this facility perhaps the last time? Running on the chest, getting passes from Spencer Rattler, just working out with your boys out front of the scouts?
Man, I'll just say, man, just coming back here and being able to see everybody that I played with this last year that I played with those guys, man. And me and Spencer, man, we was through this process together all the way through, man. We went to the same place to work out in Arizona. We also went to the Senior Bowl together, the Combine, and we just finished it off here on a good note.
How much easier did that make this process, given that you had Spencer right there with you?
Man. We always went and worked on the things that we felt like we needed to work on, man. Just keeping the timing on. And man, we came out here and put on the show.
How much more comfortable were you here working out for your spouse compared to the combine?
It was the same way, man. I was even keeled all the way through, man. I don't get nervous. I'm past that stage in this game, man. I don't get nervous anymore. I just came here just to do my work.
The Panthers had a bunch of offensive coaches here. What would it mean to you to kind of stay in the Carolinas?
Man, that'll be great, man. I'll be right down the road. It'll be a little easier for my family to come watch me play. So that'll be great.
And then to see that many representatives from the organization, it feels like a lot of them are here to see you. What does that mean to you in terms of maybe not added pressure, but you know?
Oh yeah, man. I'll just say, man, that's just them telling me that they want me on their team, man. A lot of coaches came and hollered at me before and after this process here, man. A lot of them, man, they say they got a buzz in their facility for me, man. I'm just ready to see where I'm gonna land.
Xavier, we've heard a lot from
From the perspective when they think about, South Carolina guy now, late first round, early second round, projected big, that the dreams are, about to become true here.
Oh yeah, man. This is something I dreamed of since I was a little boy, man. I got my first cousin here, man. We was in the same grade, we the same age, and 3 weeks apart, man. That's all we talked about coming up, man. Now I'm living the dream.
Xavier, we heard a lot from
Cameron Bethea, he over there.
Xavier, we've heard a lot from Spencer talking about being able to work with Tal this last season. For you in particular, being able to work in for kind of like a pro style offense, how much has that helped you, especially being able to talk to teams, going up on the whiteboard or doing whatever through these last couple of months?
Man, I'll say, man, it was really easy for me, man, because every offense is mainly the same, just different wording. I went through 3 offensive coordinators while I was here. Everything was basically the same pro style offense, just different name changes, and that's the same way it is with the league, man. The concepts is concepts. I learned everything exceptionally, man, so it's pretty easy for me.
A lot of studying?
Oh, yeah.
That's it for X. That's it. He's got.
All right, there you go. Xavier Legette had to get going. They had to cut him off. He had to go meet with some teams. But I think what stands out to me, Joe, number one, I mentioned it before, but that was the first time that you had a chance to see that.
Yeah.
Again, he's relaxed. He's the X that we all know him to be, laid back. You get what you see when you talk to him. You see the fact of how grateful he is. Obviously, his story, everything that he's gone through, especially the challenges that he went through in high school, but even the challenge he had to go through at South Carolina. I mean, you come in, you're towards the bottom of the depth chart, played some quarterback in high school, you're learning the position, you're trying to improve being a wide receiver at the collegiate level. You got to deal with COVID. You got COVID, meaning the COVID season. You got to deal with a coaching change. You have to deal with, as he mentioned, 3 different offensive coordinators. You have to deal with the fact that you weren't going to be the guy this year. And then what happens? Juice Wells goes down, your number gets called, and he was able to make the most out of it. So I think for Legette more than anything, is that he's been ready for this moment. He's been preparing for this moment. And now that it's here, the moment's not too big for him. And he's proven that, whether it be in his 40 time last couple weeks ago at the combine, whether it be putting up 225 pounds 24 times on the bench today, or even going back to the Reese's Senior Bowl. I know he was banged up a little bit, held himself out in some of those periods, including the game, but he even balled out when he was out there in practices. So, again, Legette, this is exactly what he expected. This is exactly what he envisioned. And I don't think anything is surprising him now because he expected to be at this point.
No, Mike, and you talk about people like a lot of times that are deserving of, the opportunity. I think Xavier Legette is very deserving of this opportunity. He's worked really, really, really hard to get to where he's at. And, like we mentioned and like Ashley mentioned and everyone has just kind of said, XL is a really, really, really good human, right? Just a really good person. So if anyone really deserves this opportunity, it's Xavier Legette, right? And he's testing well. He's continuing to climb up the draft boards. I remember when the season kind of concluded, we were talking about 2nd, 3rd round, maybe kind of midday kind of thing. And now, he's potentially a 1st rounder, and I could very much see him sliding into that 1st round for sure and going to a contender, right? If you're in the late 1st round, it means, teams that had success, I think he's going to find a good fit and, be a really, really good receiver in this league.
Yeah. And we've mentioned this before. I mentioned this on 107.5 the game today. Appreciate Tyler and Wes having me on. But we also have to remember, people, don't get so caught up on the production in college. X was able to put some good tape out there his last year. We all saw it. We saw what he was capable of doing. Finished, second all-time in receiving yards in a season in Gamecock history, only behind the great Alshon Jeffrey. But as ESPN's Field Yates said on this very program a couple months back, when we're talking about the NFL draft, it's about projecting players. It's about projecting players. It's not looking at, well, this guy put up this many passing yards. He had this many receptions. He had this many rushing yards. He had this many tackles, this many sacks. Sure, being able to have good tape out there, that can help you. No question about it. However, we've also seen players, lower divisions. I mean, a couple of years ago, we saw a Division II guy get drafted in the first round by the Patriots. It's all about projecting. So for Legette, he's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the strength. Teams aren't as caught up on, okay, why didn't he have the same type of production leading up to his senior year? They're going to ask that question. I'm sure he was asked questions similar to that. But once he gives the explanation, it's just like, all right. They're more worried about, okay, what can this guy do for us moving forward? It's not about the past. It's not about looking in the rearview mirror. So, again, listening to Legette, nothing surprised me there. I want to keep moving things along. Try to play as many sound bites as we can. If we don't get to everyone, these are all going to be available very shortly on Gamecock Central on our YouTube page. We'll also be posting them on GamecockCentral.com. If you're not a subscriber, sign up for the first month for just $1. $1 for the first month. Or if you want to take advantage of our special that we have going on, this March Madness for both the men and women, head on over to Gamecock Central where you can sign up for just I think it's $40 for the first year. I mean, it's a pretty damn good deal. So take advantage of it while it's here because it's not just football. It's not just basketball. You get everything. You get everything over on Gamecock Central. And when we talk about getting everything, I feel like whoever takes a chance on Spencer is going to get a little bit of everything. Not just someone that can throw the deep ball, not just someone that has the understanding of a pro-style offense, having worked with Dal Loggins this past year, but he's also someone that has tremendous leadership ability as well. And we've seen that over the last 2 years at South Carolina. Here's what Spencer had to say today following his pro day performance, where, again, didn't really test or anything because he doesn't need to after what he did over at the NFL Combine, but he did some good things from a throwing standpoint, certainly showing off that cannon for an arm, as well as just being able just to throw dimes in there, wherever.
Time for you. How do you think this latest job interview went for you?
Went amazing. This whole process has been fun. It's been long. It's been a grind, but I couldn't ask for anything else. Just trying to take advantage of every opportunity, and I feel like we're doing that.
Who have you met with a bunch of teams, I guess, between all your visits and things like that so far?
Yeah, probably met with every team so far, just between the Senior Bowl, Combine, and then just interviews and start 30-minute visits here soon. But a lot of teams reaching out, and I'm just interested to talk to as many as I can. It's been great.
How do you keep yourself fresh between, as you say, the Senior Bowl, then the Combine, now another session here?
You just got to keep rolling. It's a busy schedule, but you got to take care of your body, take care of your arm, and just keep it going.
What was it like throwing to your guys with Gamecock logos in this building, maybe for one of the last time?
It was awesome. They did a great job today. Ran great routes, caught great balls. We're grinding all week, so credit to them, and today was fun.
What do you feel like the biggest thing is that you learned about yourself during this whole process?
I could, adapt to the environment, Senior Bowl, Combine. I don't back down from any challenges. I haven't really learned anything, just kind of applying what I know and just, going out there and competing and working hard.
Spencer, we've seen it over the last couple of years and what you're capable of doing, but what did you want to show teams, prove to teams during this interview process the last couple of months?
Yeah, going down to the Senior Bowl, having to acclimate with the best players in the country, getting in and out the huddle, running the NFL system, super comfortable with that. Been interviewing very well, understanding board work, film work, talking ball, and that's just want to show them who I am, and it's been great so far.
How cool has it been being able to do this with Xavier, whether it be in Mobile, whether it be out in Indy? I know you vouch for him. You said you're always going to vouch for your guy, but what has it been like doing this with him?
Yeah, I've been with Xavier every day for the last 8 weeks down in Arizona, so we've been getting in great work, and that's why we were hooking up, pretty good out here.
What's the best part of this process been?
Really, I can't put my hand on one thing. Everything's fun. Every challenge is fun, and just embracing it.
What would it mean to you if, given the chance, you and Xavier were drafted by the same team? How special would that be?
Yeah, we'll see if that happens. That'd be crazy. That'd be a good choice from the other team.
What do you like most about what you've accomplished? Going back to the Senior Bowl combine here today.
One more time, sorry.
What do you think you've accomplished the most when you look back through this whole process? Senior Bowl combine.
Yeah, going to the Senior Bowl, I had my mindset on just creating relationships with those guys. Accomplished that. I wanted to get quarterback of the week and MVP of the game. Accomplished that. Wanted to go to the combine and show I can spin it with anybody. I feel like we did that. And then just showing who I am to these teams. Having great interviews, enjoying the time out here, and having a successful pro day. And I feel like we all did a great job out here today.
When an NFL team drafts Spencer Rattler, what type of player is that team getting?
An elite guy. A guy that's very knowledgeable within football. Been in 3 different offenses, 2 different conferences. Proven player, very accurate passer, fast learner, quick processor. Guy that can create and extend and make others around him better, and mainly getting a leader. A guy that's on time, shows his work ethic and puts it in every day. And that's what they're getting.
What's next for you? Leading up to the draft, or the next few weeks?
Back to work.
Back to Arizona?
Yep.
Meeting with teams, doing the whiteboard stuff, how much of working with Dale last year do you think helped you through this process? I know you talked about it a little bit, but can you kind of give us a deeper look into that?
A ton. I was very comfortable going into Senior Bowl week. That was just an example. We were running the Patriots offense, just a little tidbit of what they do. We were with their assistant receiver coach, was our OC, so running their plays, a lot of the words and verbiage was similar to what we do. And, they have obviously a couple different things here and there, but super comfortable getting in and out the huddle, listening to the play in the headset. It was an awesome week for that.
We've talked to some of the guys, defensive backs, defensive linemen, guys who've learned from other Gamecocks. I know you went to 2 different schools. Have you picked anyone's brain through this process, any quarterbacks?
Not really. Just former guys. Like we had a guy, Chris Strevler, who's came out, played with the Jets, bounced around the league for a little bit. My guy, Mike Giovando, has been helping me a ton. Noel Mazzoni, and really just I've been training with Jack Plummer, a quarterback from Louisville, and he's a super smart guy. I played at Purdue as well, and Cal. So really just, my circle. Got a lot of great people in my circle, that I've been with for a long time, and they've helped me a lot.
All right, there you go, Spencer Rattler.
Yep.
At Pro Day. What's your initial thoughts, Joe? I know it was your first time being able to listen to it.
Yeah, initial thoughts on just everything I've heard from Spencer is backing up more of what we've been saying all of this whole draft process. He's a very mature young man, and we've seen that obviously through the interviews and just getting to know him at South Carolina. But he's continuing to back up the mental portion of this whole thing, and then obviously backed it up on the field from what I saw as well. Really, really good pro day for Spencer. And he, I think one area from what I gathered, one area that he was able to improve in from the combine to his pro day was the deep throws. It didn't necessarily gain any praise from the combine, but he just looked a lot better, more well-rounded and all the throws in general at pro day. So again, happy for Spencer, and he's going to continue to climb up draft boards as we know, also like Xavier Legette too.
Again, if you're just joining us, be sure to head on over to the Gamecock Central YouTube page. Later on today, we're going to have multiple interviews with the players that chose to speak with the media. There were some that chose not to, and that's all right. But we had an opportunity to catch up with guys, not just Spencer, not just Xavier, but also, as you saw, Maran Brown, Turbo Miller. We also had a chance to catch up with Marcellus Dial. And I'm trying to think, too, who else we had a chance. Oh, Jabari Ellis. Jabari Ellis. How about this about Jabari Ellis? So Jabari Ellis last played for the Gamecocks in 2021. He was able to come back and do pro day again today. He shared that Shane Beamer, with open arms, said, come on back. You want to do it again. You want to be able to show teams what you got. And he's calling it his revenge tour. He had an opportunity to worked with the New York Giants 2 years ago, 2022, because he was part of that 2022 draft class, went undrafted, went into training camp, right before training camp, got cut, and then he was signed by the Montreal Alouettes, blocked a kick, recovered it for a touchdown. Unfortunately, though, things didn't get him over that hump to get back into the NFL. So he felt like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to prove to people what I got. I have experience too. Of going through and getting a taste of the NFL. I'm going to show teams what I'm capable of doing. Jabari told me today that he's been invited to the Carolina Panthers Pro Day, which is coming up in the next couple weeks. So shout out to Jabari Ellis, and I'm sure multiple Gamecock players will be receiving Pro Day invites to other teams, if not the Carolina Panthers. I'm sure we'll certainly get one for that, but we'll keep an eye out on that over the next couple of weeks. Want to play an interview, another one, trying to get through these as quickly as we can before we log off in a little bit. Dakereon Joyner. It's going to be weird. I think some people even mentioned it with South Carolina putting out their media guide the other day and seeing a name that's not DK on offense. It's going to be weird when you see that number 5. Joyner was out there today. Unfortunately, during his first attempt in the 40, he tweaked his hamstring. Now, speaking with his trainer, he told me that back in January, and DK will share a little bit more of this in the interview, that he tweaked his hamstring then working out, and he was just trying to be careful with it over the last couple weeks. Unfortunately, tweaked it during that first attempt on that 40, wasn't really able to do much of any other testing after that, but in true DK fashion, he finished. He came out there. He did everything he could to do some of the wide receiver drills / running back drills. He was out there catching passes. He's right now listed as a running back, but teams that are interested, he said that there's been about 9 teams between either his agent or himself that teams have talked with about him. So some teams are interested in him being a wide receiver. Some teams are interested in him being a running back. Kind of did a little bit of both today. But again, a disappointing way for DK's day to end in the sense of the testing. But it was good to see him go out there and be able to compete in some of those positional drills. So here's what DK had to say today following his performance.
First and foremost, how's the hamstring?
I'm good. I'll be all right. I pulled my hammy like 6 weeks ago in training. Kind of got my back up to where I could move. Was gonna run really, really fast, but it pulled my hammy. But I'm all right though. Everything else that I did pretty well, really well. PR'd and everything that I did, so I'm straight.
You went out there and ran some drills and everything.
Yeah.
What was the mentality behind that of being able to finish?
I know how I am. I've been through all kind of adversity. You know what I'm saying? But just go out there and show what I could do. Just kind of be smooth. I got a lot of props from the scouts by just finishing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was all about for me. And not how fast I could go, but how smooth I could be and just finishing and going back out there and compete.
How great was it to have Spencer Brown being out there with some of your other teams?
It was great. Last time in college, hopefully we'd be together in the league, but it was cool. Good job being around those guys and just kind of bonding with them and just kind of fellowshipping with them throughout the whole week.
How many teams have you talked to?
Including my agent, like 9. So yeah, better than nothing, right?
Do they looking at you as a running back athlete? Just kind of how are you?
Yeah, so I'm going in as a running back, but they know I can do a lot of things. Compare me to like Debo Samuel, Taysom Hill, guys like that. So I'd be probably in a system like that.
What was it like having a big cheering section here today and everything? How special?
Oh yeah, I mean, my family means everything to me. You know what I'm saying? So having them being here, they want to be here. You know what I'm saying? But I love them and I appreciate them. I'm glad they were here.
DK, you mentioned that you went through a lot of adversity during your time here at Carolina. Just describe what this place, meant to you and being a Gamecock meant to you. Why was it so important to you to be a Gamecock all these years?
This place means a lot to me. I've given a lot to this university. Coming here is always bittersweet. You know what I'm saying? I said I won't be here no more, but I moved on to bigger and better things. But I'm grateful for everything the university has done for me. I just want to continue to represent the university the right way as I continue to go forward.
Where did you work out? I mean, leading up to today? Where have you been working?
I was in Atlanta. Me and Maran Brown, we were together for the last 12 weeks training together.
Talking about that adversity that you went through here, how does that help you now as you for our team to meet your dream and make it to the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mentality thing. It's a faith thing. I know that everything happens for a reason, literally. That goes for every single body. So once I adopted that mindset, when things like this happen, I don't trip. You know what I'm saying? I kind of just move forward because it's supposed to happen.
When the NFL team drafts the Kerryon Joyner or signs the Kerryon Joyner, what type of player is that team going to get?
A dog. A guy that does a lot of things. Team first mentality, but I'm a dog, man. I'm gonna go get it done, whatever it takes. And I know that I'm gonna be put in the best position to be successful.
What's the plan these next couple of weeks for you?
Spend time with my family. I've been gone for my daughter for a long time, so spend time with my family, kind of decompress, get off my feet, man. Kind of just enjoy life for a little bit, be a regular civilian. You know what I'm saying, and just kind of get off my feet.
Spencer threw a lot of balls today. What do you think of Spencer out there?
Precise, accurate, that we all know. I'm glad he got a chance to show it in front of all 32 teams.
All right, there you go. Kerryon Joyner.
Yeah.
Joe, thoughts on DK?
Yeah, good stuff from DK, right? You know, obviously we know what kind of man he is. Similar with Xavier Legette, right? You know, going to pass all of the, you know, the mental side of things, with flying colors. And then obviously, you know, it's unfortunate that his day ended the way it did. But, you know, tested, you know, well for, you know, having a banged up hamstring. And, you know, I liked his analysis of Spencer throwing the ball, right? Just kind of, you know, same old Spence, right? Good as we always know it. You know, so that was good. And DK Joyner, you know, again, hope the best for him. And, you know, really good person there in DK. And, you know, again, grateful to, or hope the opportunity, you know, comes for DK soon. And again, talking to teams. And again, I think, you know, it's a guy with high ceiling, can play both running back, wide receiver, just all around offensive weapon, and DK Joyner. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for him.
And we're waiting on the official results for not just the players we're talking about, but the players that we haven't had an opportunity to talk about as much. We're going to wrap up the show in a little bit, but we'll have plenty of updates on Gamecock Central. We'll have what people ran from a 40 time, if they did run a 40. Some players opted not to run the 40, and some players opted not to do any field testing whatsoever. And that's all right. But we'll have all that there. We're going to have plenty of content. We'll have plenty of content. We'll put the interviews up. Again, not every player who participated today spoke with the media. Some chose not to. But we had a chance to be able to catch up with, I want to say, about 6 or 7 players. So we'll have that up on Gamecock Central. If you missed any of our show today, head on over to the Gamecock Central YouTube page where you can watch this show in its entirety for free. Be sure to hit the little bell icon so you get notified anytime one of these GC live shows drop or any original Gamecock Central content is uploaded, as well as interviews courtesy of South Carolina Athletics. In addition to YouTube, you can also catch these shows on the Gamecock Central Podcast Network, wherever you listen to your podcast. Joe, let's hit our ads before we wrap things up. Today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at Liberty Tax.
Yeah, Mike, tax anxiety is that uncertain feeling you get right before doing your taxes, but you don't have to go through it alone. The tax team at Liberty Tax in Irmo, Lexington, and Columbia will walk you through the process, clear up any confusion, and guarantee you'll get the biggest possible refund or your money back. It's tax time. If you're in a hurry for your refund, call on the tax team at Liberty Tax. They're fast, accurate, and guaranteed. On the other hand, if you think you might be owing Uncle Sam, talk to the Liberty Tax team to make sure you're not paying more than you should owe. They'll find every possible deduction for you. Locally owned and operated, staffed by tax professionals from your neighborhood. Open 9 on weekdays and 9 to 5 on Saturdays with multiple service options. Start through the Liberty Tax mobile app or through the desktop portal. Make an appointment or just walk in. Give a call to upload your tax documents, and when you come in, your return will be ready to review and sign. Give them a call on your screen right now. And for those listening, 803-462-5576. Once again, 803-462-5576 for all of your tax needs this tax season, Mike.
And today's show is also brought to you by our good friend Clint Hammond of Movement Mortgage. If you're in the process of purchasing a home, or you're thinking about purchasing a home, trying to find the lowest rate on the market, it has not been easy for the last 2 years. Do exactly what Wes Mitchell, as well as former Gamecock quarterback and captain Perry Orth both did. They called Clint, and Clint was able to help them during that process. That number is 803-771-6933. Clint Hammond, longtime supporter of not just GC Live, but Gamecock Central. We appreciate everything he's done for the GC crew. Well, again, we're waiting. We're waiting on the official numbers from Pro Day, so we'll have those up on Gamecock Central shortly. We're going to start uploading all the interviews that we were able to gather today between myself and Wes Mitchell. I'll also have a video recap from the day, which will include highlights. So if you're interested in seeing some of the highlights, head on over to Gamecock Central. You can watch that over there. I did see a quick question. I want to wrap things up here because I know Joe has to get going. D1 Trey said, what about South Carolina State guys? We weren't giving a list of the non-South Carolina players who were there. So unfortunately, I don't have as much information. I remember from my Watch Fox days, I could recognize some of the players who played at South Carolina State or played at a Division II school like Newberry or Limestone. I know that was the case in the past with some pro days at South Carolina. A little bit trickier for me to identify non-Gamecock players since I just covered the Gamecocks. So I wish I had something more for you, D1 Trey. If those guys were out there today, which I think I saw a tweet or a post the other day on social media saying that there were going to be some South Carolina State players there. If that was the case, I hope they balled out because we know that there's plenty of talent at HBCU schools. MEAC, SWAC, certainly South Carolina State fans know that very well with all the talent that has come out there, not just from an NFL standpoint of talk about putting dudes in the league, but putting dudes in the Hall of Fame as well. Appreciate everyone that tuned in today. Another massive show, and we're going to keep these things rolling. Figure out what we're going to do on Thursday. Not 100% sure from a post game, from a GC Live standpoint, simply because afternoon drive, simply because we're going to be having basketball going on. So I think we're going to probably punt that. I think that's the decision we're deciding in live time right now. We're going to punt that, and we will have the GC Live post-game show on Thursday as South Carolina men's basketball begin their march in the SEC tournament. He's Intern Joe. I'm Mike You've appreciate everyone that tuned in today. If you're heading out to Nashville, Gamecock Central will be leaving bright and early in the morning tomorrow. If you see us, say hi. Maybe we'll see you around town.
Thank you, everybody.
Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and enjoy the rest of your week.